Today, we're cracking open the latest earnings report from a company you've probably never heard of, but whose tech you are literally using right now. That company is ASML. They are the hidden engine that drives the entire semiconductor industry, and their results give us a rare peek under the hood of global tech. So, let's dive in.
Okay, but first, the usual but very important heads up. This explainer is just for informational purposes. It is absolutely not financial or investment advice, so please always do your own research before making any decisions.
So think about this for a second. From the smartphone in your pocket to the massive data centers powering the AI revolution, what single company makes the one machine that's essential for creating every single advanced microchip on the entire planet? Well, the answer is ASML. And that is exactly why this earnings report matters so much.
Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of this past quarter, let's just zoom out for a moment. The semiconductor industry is just exploding. It's on track to become a trillion-dollar market by 2030, and that's pretty much all being driven by the insane demand for AI. At the very heart of that is a technology called lithography, and that's a market that ASML basically owns. I mean, just look at their ambition. They're targeting up to 60 billion euros in revenue by 2030.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to hit the headline numbers for Q3, then we'll dig into the story behind them, the good and the not so good. After that, we'll look at ASML's next big strategic moves, and we'll wrap it all up with their official outlook for the road ahead.
All right, first up, the Q3 numbers breakdown. Let's see how ASML actually did.
Kicking things off with the big one, total net sales hit 7.5 billion euros. Now, this was right in the ballpark of what they predicted, which tells you things are running pretty smoothly and predictably at the moment.
Next, we've got the gross margin, which landed at a very, very healthy 51.6%. Now, keep that number in your head, because while it's strong, it's actually a small step down from last quarter, and that hints at a bigger story we're going to get to in just a minute.
And that all brings us to the bottom line. A net income of 2.1 billion euros. It's simple, really. Solid sales led to very solid profits.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Putting it all side by side, you can see a slight cooling off from Q2 to Q3 across the board: sales, margin, and income. Even net bookings, which are those crucial future orders, dipped just a little. Though, let's be real, they're still incredibly strong at 5.4 billion euros. So the key takeaway here: things are stable, but that explosive growth is kind of leveled off for the moment.
So let's peek behind the curtain. What's the real story behind these numbers? What were the bright spots? And what were the headwinds holding them back?
You know, this slide really tells two completely different stories about ASML right now. On one hand, you have the bright spots, just massive demand for their most advanced EUV machines, all fueled by that AI boom. But on the other hand, you've got these headwinds, that slight dip in margins we talked about, and a really big one: looming geopolitical tensions, especially when it comes to China.
And if you want to understand just how big that China headwind is, you've got to look at this chart. In Q3, China made up 27% of ASML sales. That is a huge slice of the pie, second only to Taiwan. And relying that much on one region creates a pretty significant risk if that demand suddenly dries up. And here is the warning, straight from the CEO's mouth. He's on the record saying that demand from China is going to drop significantly in 2026. Now, this isn't some potential risk analysts are worried about. This is the company's own leadership telling the market, hey, brace for impact.
So, with those kinds of challenges on the horizon, how is ASML getting ready for the future? Well, the answer is what it always is with this company. They innovate their way forward, relentlessly pushing the limits of what's possible.
So here's the playbook. They're pushing ahead with their next-generation high-NA EUV machines, the most advanced on the planet. They're teaming up with Mistral AI to actually build artificial intelligence into their own tools. And this is the big one. They're breaking new ground with scanners designed for something called advanced packaging and 3D chip integration.
And here it is, the brand new machine for this new 3D era, the TwinScan XT260. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Instead of building a single-story house, chipmakers now want to build skyscrapers by stacking chips on top of each other. That's 3D integration. And ASML is claiming this new machine can do that up to 4 times more productively. That puts them right at the front of this massive industry shift.
And you don't have to take my word for it. The CEO confirms this strategic pivot right here. He's basically saying, hey, our customers are screaming for new tools for 3D integration. And ASML realized it can adapt its existing genius to dominate this new market. It's a really smart move. You'll leverage what you're already the best at to conquer the next big thing.
Okay, so that's the tech.
Now let's get back to the money. What is ASML officially telling investors to expect as we look down the road?
Their guidance for the next quarter is, wow, a huge jump. They expect sales to leap to between 9.2 and 9.8 billion euros. For the full year, they're targeting around 15% growth over 2024. The message here is crystal clear. They are expecting a very, very strong finish to 2025.
Now, a quick but important point about guidance like that. These are what we call forward-looking statements. And just like this slide says, that means they are projections, not ironclad guarantees. They're based on what the company knows right now and are subject to all kinds of real-world risks, like those geopolitical issues we've been talking about. And if we zoom way, way out, this slide brings us right back to those massive 2030 targets we saw at the beginning. They see a future where they could be pulling in anywhere from 44 to 60 billion euros in a single year. That just shows you how much faith they have in the long-term runway for AI and advanced computing.
So here's where we land. ASML's technology is, without a doubt, building the foundation of our entire digital future. Their innovation pipeline is incredibly strong, and their market is only going to get bigger. But the question is, can this powerful engine of the chip industry successfully navigate the very real geopolitical and market challenges of today? That's the key tension we're all going to be watching.